Hello, happy home day, everyone. Hello, friends who is tuning in from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Welcome back to my weekly LinkedIn Live 30 minutes coffee break with your LinkedIn girl. I hope you all bring in your coffee because I really do. And I see some of you already know the drill. Hi, Harens. So happy to see you. For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know the drill. Where you're dialing in from, please comment below. I'm so excited for you to have here today. I love me a good coffee, so make sure you got your coffee because today you are going to love today's show. And for those who you don't know me, I'm Salina Yang, the ex-LinkedIn girl turned into the CEO of the inacademy.com in the middle of COVID. I'm showing up for you, my amazing community, every Wednesday to share one topic, tips, hacks to share to help you to get real result on LinkedIn. Utilize the power of this platform, stop feeling stuck, overwhelmed, lack of time to figure out LinkedIn all by yourself. I'm here for you. So let's get started. Today it's very special because for some of you have been following me or my LinkedIn, you see that I have my cool new gadget. You might see the resolution or quality of my video. It's upgraded together with my mic. I just want to say because today I'm talking about broadcast. So broadcast has been a buzzword lately. I mean, for 2 years or more, right? So if for those of you who have owned your own broadcast show, please give me a big yes here so that I know. All right, I see some new friends here. Shiraz, I hope I do not butcher your name, my friend. I'm so happy you're here. Andrew, my man, I'm so happy you're here again. Hello from San Francisco with the coffee. Cheers for that, Andrew. So good to see you here. And Lana here, so excited to watch. I'm so excited to have you here today. And Bridget, hello. I'm so happy to see you. I know you're in Austria, so we're actually neighbors. I hope you have a coffee. I know it's just 3 p.m. for you, but I'm so excited to have you here today and with my very special guest, which is patiently waiting, and I will give a really good intro to make sure you all know what you're in for today. So if you do have a podcast show, I know Bridget does, and her show is amazing. So please remember to dial in. Perhaps that could be a good collaboration with my special guest today. But if not, are you considering or having your own podcast show? Because I do. And in fact, Me and my team is trying to create one in 2 to 3 weeks. So stay tuned with us. But you might ask, why broadcast, right? You will be like looking at me like, Salina, seriously, I couldn't handle another channel. Mind blowing, right? I have LinkedIn, I have Instagram, I have basically everything else. I feel you, my friend. Here are some of the 3 nuggets to consider. 1, 54% of podcast consumers are likely to consider your brand if they hear that advertisement on your podcast. And 48% of podcast listeners have an annual household income of more than 250K US dollars and disposable income. And these podcast listeners are loyal, affluent, and educated. What's better than that? But you might ask, so Salina, how do I use LinkedIn? Because you are the LinkedIn girl, to promote my podcast show then. My friends, of course, I got you covered. I'm super excited to welcome my very special guest who is based in Dubai. Incredible LinkedIn friends, and I'm going to introduce you to someone who is a podcast expert, founder and podcast host of Hope It Helps, a coaching platform focused on helping people in the way they can. In fact, I got to know him through LinkedIn and be invited to be one of his special guests of his amazing podcast show because he is good. In fact, before we started this, he shared with me he had recorded 60 podcast episodes. How incredible is it? So I want you all to walk out from this show today feeling empowered, confidence to promote and grow your podcast here on LinkedIn. And I think we all could use that extra shot, coffee plus tangible takeaway from my special guest that makes a huge difference in finding a highly effective way to advertise, promote your business, and create a competitive edge in your own industry and niche. And that's what all this episode is about. All right, guys, I won't let you all wait longer. I couldn't think of a better person to talk with you about LinkedIn for Broadcaster. Who is this amazing broadcast expert I'm talking about? Welcome, Khaled Abuljebain. I'm sorry, I'm pretty sure I butchered your last name. Welcome.
No, it was a great effort. Hello, everyone. Salina, thank you so much for having me on the show. As you said, here's my coffee, so we're all good to go. And I'm really excited to be here. It's my first LinkedIn Live.
I know. Thank you so much for being, your first in mind, and that's very extra special. And I got some of my clients here, Fasel is here, but I know Nadell is dialing in from YouTube. So happy to see you. Please say hi to Khaled as well, because today he will show and drop so much golden nuggets about LinkedIn for Broadcaster. And hello, Sab. I can't wait to meet a fellow RTT because you are RTT therapist. I know. I'm going to definitely ask you on that because Sab is also an RTT therapist, an expert in that. And Sunday, so glad to see you here. And Nadell, how do you drink your coffee? All right. I think we just drink it straight away. I guess which one is our favorite? And I think this one, I guess is for you. I guess is a hello, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I love that. So before we dive into today's topic, which is LinkedIn for Broadcaster, I see that everyone is super excited to basically say hi. Andrew, say hi. Tell us one fun fact about you, Khaled, that is not on your LinkedIn profile.
Sure. It's funny when you sent me the brief and about this specific question, I was racking my brain. I'm like, I don't know what to think about. But I guess one thing that came to mind is I'm a huge foodie. I love food. I think food is life. I tell that to everyone. One of my favorite things to do is to go try new food, try new restaurants. I remember when I was living in Amsterdam. So I'd loved cooking for a long time, but I never cooked. And so I'm like, okay, let's start. I was sick of eating cereal and eggs every day. I'm like, let's learn how to do, something else. And I remember I sent a friend of mine.
Cereal and eggs is your combination for breakfast, is it?
Yeah, well, you had to alternate because my options were limited. I didn't have much range. And I remember I called a friend of mine. I followed the recipe to cook chicken, and I sent him a picture. I'm like, "Does this look good?" And he called me straight away. He's like, "Khaled, don't eat that. You're gonna get like sick. You're gonna like get food poisoning." I'm like, "Okay, fine, okay." And after many months of like fail and trying and so on, finally we got it down. And yeah, now when I have the time, I love to cook.
Amazing. Wow. So what is your go-to favorite cuisine when it comes to cooking then?
Oh, Chinese, without a doubt. That's my
Chinese.
favorite.
Wow,
100%.
amazing. What type? Like Cantonese, Shanghainese?
More
Um,
Cantonese, I'd say. That's
oh,
my what I
really?
like the most.
Wow.
Yeah.
So proud. Oh my gosh, we're going I know after this episode, I'm going to basically, find you and ask you for all those recipes because I've been
Sure.
trying myself to find all those like authentic ingredients in Luxembourg to cook. And I know actually there is a couple of huge foodie here. Andrew is. This amazing guy that I met through LinkedIn. He's based in San Francisco. He made his own baguette. Like how
Oh wow.
amazing is
Okay.
it? So I love bread, and he's also a huge foodie. I am a huge foodie too. I know Fasel and Sab is also a huge foodie. So I am very excited to know this fun fact from you. And
Sure.
Holly, tell us a little bit how you started. Like, hope it helps. I mean, I love that name. It's just so open, very friendly. And how do you started all these?
Sure. So when I was living in Amsterdam from 27 to 2020, I went through a big personal growth and personal development journey, and all I did was listen to podcasts, interviews, TED Talks. Went to seminars, books. So I did it all.
Oh,
And one of the biggest things I learned from podcasts is all these incredible people that I'd never met, just from listening to their conversation, changed the way I thought about myself, about life, work, relationships, and really helped make me who I am today. So I kind of just wanted to create a podcast. I love speaking to people anyway. So it's I can sit down, have a conversation with someone for hours, and I'm like, okay, I would love to give back and create a platform and have incredible conversations with people, experts in whatever field, in the hope that the listener, if you're interested in that topic, can take something away from it, a new tool, a new perspective that helps you in your own life. So I was thinking about the name for a while, and then I was just walking down the street. I'm like, what am I trying to do with my podcast? What would I like to do? I'm like, I just want to help people. So I'm like, okay, I can't guarantee it will. So I guess I just hope it helps.
I love it. Wow. So walking down the street one day, aha moment. Hello, was like,
Literally, yeah.
"Okay, hope it helps. That's the name. I got
Yeah,
it. I love it.
exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But why podcast? Because there's so many channel out there, right? I mean, you and I know we're in the world of social media and all these like new technology, new channels coming every day. Just 9 months ago, we got Clubhouse, right? And
Exactly, yeah.
trend people going in, and now it's just died down a little. And podcast has been a buzzword for 2 or 3 years. And why podcast? Why not other channels?
For me personally, I think I love the format of podcasting. It's almost like you're sitting in on an intimate conversation between, two people. And in my experience, what I've found is everyone has a different vision for a podcast. Some like them long, some like them short. But in my experience, if I want to deliver value in, let's say, an hour, which most of the episodes are,
Yeah.
you need that. At least in my experience, I like having that time, to really have a good connection with the guest, to ask a good question, to get as much value from the guest and to provide to my listeners as I possibly can. So the format of just sitting down and having a conversation, I think, helps you connect with people, helps you develop really good relationships, and if you can have a good conversation, then there's a good chance you're going to deliver a lot of value.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more because the first time I met you is actually the time that we're recording the podcast.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you made me feel so comfortable. And we end up, I basically end up chatting with you for an hour of your precious time. And I really enjoy it. So I do see, having podcasts, having like a casual conversation with someone is just so valuable. And somehow I got a feeling when I'm listening to podcasts, I'm like sneaking peek to somebody's conversation, but not necessarily.
Exactly.
But it feels good, that you felt
Sure.
like you're participating in it and getting the value out of it. So I absolutely love that point. And I am going to ask you this question just because one of my audience are a RTT therapist, and I know you are as well. So I'm just very curious. Is hope it helps RTT therapist what you do daily? Is there any correlations between the two channels? Things like that.
Sure. So with Hope It Helps, it's me having a conversation in the hope that I can deliver value to you. But after going to, therapy myself and going and learning about hypnotherapy and studying it, I like the idea that now I have a tool that I can, if you came to me as a client, I can have a direct positive impact on your life and, help you one-on-one. When you have the podcast, it's a bit more broad, it's a bit more general. I'm trying to deliver value in that way, but with RTT and having that tool, now I can have a direct impact. So I'm trying to help you with the podcast, and I'm trying to help you, one-on-one too.
Oh, wow. Amazing. I love that. So it's basically a channel to promote your business, your core business that helping people, but also with sort of like broadcast as one of the channels to promote, the core value and mission of Hope It Helps. That's fantastic.
Exactly.
Great to know. So, I mean, I don't want our audience wait any longer, but it was so nice to know you're a foodie, like how you stand. Hope it helps. I hope one day I can walk down the street and come up with amazing broadcast channel name. I would definitely quote you on that. Sure. I was like, that's a great idea from my friend here. So tell us more, like how, when you first started, right? Did you use LinkedIn as one of the channel to promote and grow your broadcast audience? How does it work for you? Like show us some of the framework that you use, because obviously it has been really, really successful for you. Because I know you have recorded 60 broadcast episode, and it has been a great momentum. I know, so that will be great to learn from you.
Sure. So when I first started the podcast, I didn't have a vision for it. And when you first start out, I think you speak to the people you know. So first couple episodes with my good friends, speaking out different topics, and it's when you're speaking to a friend, it's, it's easy, each other, it's very relatable. So the conversation flows quite smoothly. But then I remember, I think it was about episode, 10. And I was posting on all channels from the beginning, just to tell people I'm doing a podcast, and if someone's interested, would love to have you on the show. Yes. I remember I connected with a woman on LinkedIn. She reached out to me and she's like, I really like what you do. Sounds really interesting, would love to connect. So we connected and we spoke, and she was looking to start a podcast too. So we talked for a while. And then a week later, I was at her house in Abu Dhabi recording an episode together. So
wow. That's incredible.
So that's how it kind of started. And LinkedIn, it's that network effect is a real thing. She introduced me to a person who then came on my show, who introduced me to another person. So it just keeps growing. And the more content I put out and the more guests I had on, the more people know about the podcast. If you're a friend of my guest, you like it, you listen to it. And what I usually do is I go through the people who liked it, all the people that I'm not connected with. And if I find someone that's in a field or that does something quite interesting, I'll reach out to them personally and be like, hey, looks like you do something really interesting. This is what my show's about. Would love to have you on as a guest. And because of LinkedIn, I've spoken to people from all over the world, Canada, Malaysia, States, yourself in Luxembourg. So LinkedIn has been, probably the best tool for me in terms of networking and finding guests.
Amazing. I just want to pull up this sweet audience, Lana here. He was like, can I please book a session with hypnotherapy with you? Amazing. Yeah, I'll definitely connect both of you. See, this is the beauty of networking on LinkedIn. It's super powerful, like you said. And I couldn't believe, so this is your very first experience, which you got invited, is it to her house in Abu Dhabi to basically do sort of like the recording? Wow, that's amazing. And walk us through the process, because I'm pretty sure for Bridges here, Nadell, I know Nadell have been like a huge YouTuber for a while, and for Sal, like every members here that is tuning in would love to learn from you step by step. How do you do it? Like, do you connect with them straight away and just like, hey, I want to invite you? How does that sort of relationship or conversation start building? Because I like you keep talking about all these words that I absolutely love. You need to start building trust and conversation before you sort of like do the next step, right? So yeah, we
Absolutely.
would love to know.
So what, like I said, what I usually do is, depending on the guests I've had, I look at, the people who have liked the podcast from their network and so on, and then I take a look. Does this person do something that's interesting? I'm like, okay, great. I'd love to have them on the show. And one thing that I took a networking course actually, and one of the things they said was, just ask. The worst thing that can happen is the person says no. So there's sometimes I reach out to people that were probably in pretty high positions that I never dreamed I would have on the podcast. And you'd be very surprised how they're like, yeah, sure. We'd love to come on the show. So I just write them a message basically saying, hi, we connect first, might have a small message like, hi, my name is Khaled. You look like you do something interesting. Would love to connect. Step one. And then I'll write them a message telling them, hi, hi, Salina, for example. Even when I message you, I'm like, I love the work you do. I think my audience can gain a lot of value from this, especially, for in our case, with LinkedIn and so on, that I think a lot of people could learn from. I give them a bit of background about what is my podcast about, what am I doing this for, and if they'd be interested to come on the show. And I always say, I'm like, there's absolutely, no pressure. It's totally up to you. If you don't respond, that's fine. If you're interested, great. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's perfectly fine. But I'd say if I've reached out to record 60 episodes, let's say I've reached out to 60 people, I'd say 50 have said yes. So
really? Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
Great. So I guess, like, just to sum up what I learned from you is obviously doing a basic research of who you're asking for guests, and then approach them with sort of like what type of audience you have that will beneficial for both, and then what you're looking into basically achieving or topic of interest to talk about, right? And
Absolutely.
would you go straight to ask them? Obviously, I know the process, but I do want to learn from you more, because I'm pretty sure that might be some question for my audience as well. Audience, I mean, for those of you who dial in, me, please drop in your questions. We'll answer you for sure. Do you already ask them for a time and then slot in directly to record the podcast, or you will still do like sort of like an e-coffee to get to know each other first, then do that? Which version worked more effective for you?
So I've done both. Obviously, if you have a initial, e-coffee, like as you said, which I had last week, I had 2 e-coffees, and now I have 2 new guests that are going to come on the show. When you have that, at least you kind of have a feel for the guest. You've made some type of connection. You have a bit of an idea of,
Yes,
of each other. So when you have so when you have the recording, at least I have more information, to go on. But I'd say 90% of my podcasts, especially the ones that have been virtual and through LinkedIn, the first time we meet virtually or face to face, if you want to call it, is when we record the podcast. So from minute one, it's my responsibility to get a good connection with you, to make you feel comfortable, and to manage the show in the best way that I can.
This is all great stuff, and thank you, Khaled. And I think we got a couple of questions, but I just want to pull out first out. You are just amazing. I know you can do it. I guess it's my own podcast show. I need to think about my name. So once I have that idea, I'll definitely let you and Khaled know.
Please.
Andrew, so happy to see you, my man. He's from India. He always dial in for our show. And Nadal say, Khaled, is it mandatory for a successful podcast to be in person? Definitely, it's much authentic to be so.
That's a really good question. What I learned in my experience is, obviously, I prefer when it's face-to-face, like when it's live, because I feel when you're live, there's an energy in the room that you can't get when you do it virtually. However, I've done majority of my episodes virtually, and although it's harder, you can still have a fantastic recording and be successful with your podcast, for sure.
Yes. Wow, that's great. And I actually got a follow-up question. When you are organizing, and let's say someone that is quite famous, an influencer in their own industry, they agree to do it, but in person, would you bring all the equipment to their house or their office and get recorded? How does it work usually?
Sure. So I leave it up to whatever the guest is most comfortable with. But let's say if we're doing it live, there's 2 options. Either they're happy to come to the house. I have a table set up. I have my camera and I have my mics, but I only have two microphones, and I've been using my phone pretty much for the video aspect. So if they want me to go to them, it's a very easy setup. It takes a couple of minutes. So totally up to what the guest wants, but either way, I'm happy.
Great, great, great. I still remember the very first time you're sort of like giving me tons of great points as, hey, Salina, if you have the AirPods, it's better in terms of sound. And now, because today, your amazing advice, I got all my gadgets to talk to you guys today. So I'm very, very excited. And thank you so much for all those nice golden nuggets. Fasal, as I would like to know how you present it, I guess with your name, right? Is it maybe Fasal wanna explain a little bit of that questions, like how you present it? Yeah. I guess it's more like difficult name for a lot of people. Is it how you will suggest to sort of present it? Maybe Fasal could explain more. But Seb said, hi, Khaled, I'd love to go on your show to talk about RTT. There you go.
100%. 100%.
Lana,
there we go.
Seb, see, beautiful networking. Great.
Yeah, 100% Seb, for sure.
Yes, amazing. See, Seb, yes, big yes to you. So great. So we talk about basically how you get guests. I might have one more follow-up in terms of guests, but how do you promote and grow your podcast, leveraging it? Yeah.
So this is probably one of the biggest things the biggest challenges I had, and what I learned is how important marketing is. I actually attended a podcast webinar, and they were like, you can have a fantastic podcast, but if no one knows about it, then you're kind of doing all this hard work, and no one's seeing the amazing work that you're doing. So marketing is super, super, super important. LinkedIn for me has been the best because I've been consistent. I've been able to build my credibility, and as a podcaster. A good tip for any podcasters: ask your guests to write you guys recommendations about their experience on the show. So any future guests that you might have can go take a look at other people who had experience, and that could be an easier in for you to get maybe a higher profile guest, for example. But LinkedIn has been and still is my #1 platform, and it's just the best for sure.
Amazing. And would you do repurpose in terms of content? Because I know some podcaster, sometimes, I know you do it too. I saw it majority of the time through Instagram as well. You will just trim a couple of like snippets and just blast it as like a short video. Is it something that you will also suggest my audience be doing if they have a podcast show?
100%. Try, they say always try it. If you have one piece of content, like you have the recording, try to maximize the amount of content you can create from it, whether it's a quote, whether it's a short clip, if there's audio or video. Try to think of creative ways to repurpose that one piece of content as much as possible, because you also need to do it on a consistent basis. Because let's say you release an episode, your loyal listeners will listen on that day. Yes. But if you keep putting out content, small little bits and clips, and people are interested, then there's a better chance that more people are going to join in and start tuning in and listening to your show as well.
Absolutely. Love those tips. So recommendation, guys, absolutely love what Khaled said earlier. Remember, by the end of the show, how much they enjoy your conversation, ask them for recommendation, and then remember to repurpose your content. There's so many ways of doing it. Khaled already shared, you can do clips. I like the quote idea. One of the things that I recently also learned to do it by myself is Audiogram. It's so simple. There's so many tools out there that is available. It's completely for free. And the way how you do it is basically it's like a video format, but where you see a sound wave.
Exactly.
To people, and you can basically use Canva to make that very easy, creative, and put it together. So make sure you use all those great tips from Khaled here. So Khaled, when you're promoting your broadcast, would you say for frequency wise, because I remember you shared with me, you blasted almost every week, right? Weekly, you will have something new release. Is there like a perfect golden number that weekly or bi-weekly or monthly, or what would you suggest for someone just fresh starting out?
Yeah. Honestly, when it comes to your frequency, it's totally up to you, because you have a couple things you have to think about. How long is it going to take me to edit? How long is it going to take me to find the guest? Do I have the time to do all these things? So if you're doing, so when I was doing it one a week, so we did 52 episodes in a year. So we didn't miss a week, and then I took a break, and it takes a lot of work. So the recommendation I would say is start small. Let's say you start once a month. Let's assume you do one episode a month. That's fine. Just give yourself the time so you're not under that stress, like, oh my God, I need to have a guest, I have to have an episode in 2 days, and then I have to edit it and so on. So I think give yourself time to really understand like how all this podcasting works, how to use the platforms, how to edit. So you're not under stress, because you don't need to be. And then once you're comfortable with it, then you can start to do it maybe more frequently. And whoever's starting a podcast, my biggest recommendation is make sure you have like a bunch of episodes ready before you actually release. So let's say you want to release bi-weekly, make sure you have like 5 to 6 episodes, ready to go. That gives you about month and a half, 3 months of leeway. And then you can, in that time, start recording with more guests and so on. Because on a weekly basis, at least in my experience, it takes a lot, it takes a lot of work. But if you can do it, go for it. It's totally up to you.
True. Yeah, I love that idea. And I think what the term that I usually share with my clients, because I got clients here, it's batching for brilliance. You are doing it, right? Batching your content so that by the time you really need to release it, let's say every Thursday, then you make sure you have the content in place. Despite like that day, I don't know, you're sick or like you don't felt like in the mood of recording, that's totally fine. You already have it in your pocket. You already have it in your drive, right? So this is a fantastic idea. And I'm pretty sure Bridget might have this question for you as well. Khaled, is there any like go-to editing tool audio-wise that you will suggest people to start with for, again, fresh starter?
Sure. I use Audacity. It's free. It's available on Mac and on Windows, and it's very simple to use, especially at the beginning. If you just want to, like cut things out and so on, it's very easy to pick up. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that will take you through everything, and over time then you can learn how to make the audio sound a bit cleaner, remove some of that echo. But I would highly recommend Audacity to anyone, and it's free, and it's pretty easy to use.
Amazing. Audacity, guys. I hope you dropping notes, because I am. And just want to quickly highlight a couple of our guests. Drew, so happy to see you. And Nadal said, thank you, Khaled. Every time I host a guest at my show, I guess Nadal have a show, I guess you guys need to talk. I miss shaking hands by the end. I know, right? Me too.
I can relate to that, for sure.
And Diana, so happy that you can dial in. I love my Yeti mic too. I mean, it's my first day using it. So thank you to Khaled for, giving all these amazing pointers. And Faisal just basically explained the questions that he did earlier. Okay. I mean, presenting the podcast concept, and Khaled, you just basically answer. Actually, you have a question on top of that, which I think quite a lot of people ask me, but I couldn't be able to answer them, is whenever, for example, whenever I'm asking special guest speaker at my show, it's rather simple, because, you and I, Khaled, you and I built already the foundation, or already asked for the e-coffee that we talk about, or the relationship. So we don't necessarily need to send sort of like what I call the media kit. And I know somebody do. So would you recommend people to create a one-page media kit for going to somebody's podcast show?
That's a good question. I personally, don't have one. The way I work is, all I ask from all my guests is, if you could please, after the show, because I'm gonna do all the promotion, like promoting all the episodes in every snippet, whatever. You're gonna be tagged on all platforms. So all I ask is, when I post some content, just if you could please reshare it with your network, and that's all I ask for. And usually, for the most part, they will do it. Sometimes they don't, but it is what it is. That's okay.
The collaborations ends there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. We had a good conversation. Nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. Cool. Good to know. Because I know, I used to be in traditional PR for the longest time. I used to do at e-commerce and luxury fashion. And one of the things that whenever we need to ask for a special guest to be on someone's show or appearance, we always need sort of like a media kit. So that is really great to know. So guys, if you're looking into it, from Khaled's point of view, you don't have to be have one, but as long as you really build a relationship, just like we shared earlier, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Great, fantastic. What else do you think needs to be mindful whenever we're asking guests or promoting podcasts on LinkedIn?
When it comes to, I think, promotion, it's about consistency from the guest side too. I think that helps. I know episodes when the guest has really pushed it, it reflects in the numbers very clearly. So obviously in a very kind way and not in a hectic way, just remind the guests, oh please, I just posted some content. They're going to be tagged anyway, but maybe just send them a message, oh could you please, just share it with your network, and so on. But I think when it comes to promotion, everyone has their own formula. I don't think there's a one size fits all. The way I see it is with the podcast, with promotion, with whatever you're trying to do, try to be as consistent as possible. And over time, things will build, your network will build, and it'll become a lot easier for you from there.
Amazing. And that's actually a perfect segue for me to ask you, Khaled, because I know for LinkedIn, it takes a while. Every time I'm chatting with my potential clients or potential prospect, they always ask, when would I be converting? I know how real this question is because they want to invest in something that ultimately have an ROI, right? And I know podcasts work a little bit like LinkedIn. It takes a while, but when it flies off, you are so happy because you get high quality potential prospect as well as a very loyal fan base. So how long do you think people would get the result that they wanted? A rough time estimate.
Sure. If I can speak honestly, even myself, after doing it for a year, I'm not where I'm not where I wanted to be very honest. I'm very proud of the work I've done. I'm very happy. I thought that I'd be in a certain stage, and I'm not there yet, but that's okay. At the end of the day, I love doing this. I love it. And just the networking opportunity. Even in the last month, I've met people for coffee who want to start podcasts, and now we have a connection and so on. So from that front, it's, I've won. I have no regrets. I'm very, very happy. But I think it depends. I think what I've noticed is it depends on the platform that you already have. If you have a big network already, there's a good chance you'll get to where you want to go faster because you have a lot of connections and a lot of people to reshare your stuff, to recommend additional guests to you. So if you have a good network already and a good platform, then it might not take you that long. But I would say if you're consistent for at least, I'd say, a year, you'll be in a good, I think you'll be in a good space. Maybe not exactly where you want it to be, but you'll definitely have built the credibility, the content, and the network, so that now with year 2 or second season, like what I'm doing, now people are starting to reach out to me more than me reaching out to them. So that's where you notice there's like a slight shift as well.
Yeah, totally. I totally get that idea when my content started to fly off the roof half a year ago. But I've been consistently putting content for 9 months. So I understand where you're coming from when you said like that really nice hurdle you will go through and you'll be like, I'm at that place. I don't no longer need to sort of like hunt for guests or doing all this hard work. And now it's guests coming to you and like, hey, hello, can I be on your show? I love what you do. Things like that. I think Seth today would love to be on your show.
100%.
As well as Nana here want to be taking one of your sessions for hypnotherapy.
For sure.
It's fantastic, right? That to your point, put in the hard work in the beginning and wait. The fruit of labor is waiting for you at the very end in the finishing line. So keep going. I love that. Absolutely. Sure. So Guys, I want to open the floor up. If you have any question for Khaled, please comment below, because we will be ending this amazing session and amazing conversation in just 5 minutes. So I want to quickly remind you, because our happy time together, it's always so short. I know. That's why it's a really nice coffee break with your LinkedIn girl and Khaled today. Yay! I think it takes a little bit while for them to warm up and send some questions. But I do have another question for you, Khaled. When it comes to sort of like podcasting, right? I heard maybe it's a misconception or it's a myth. People say it's actually not that easy to get on Apple Podcasts. Is that true?
No, it's pretty simple. It's
Really?
pretty, yeah. It's all you have to do is you need to have a hosting platform. So one platform that you upload all your content to. So for example, I use SoundCloud, and then you get something called an RSS feed, which is basically just a link. And all you have to do is take that link and go to Spotify, go to Apple, go, if you're in the Middle East, and Rami, Google, whatever podcast you want. All you have to do is literally plug in that link. You need to have a logo as well, so add the logo to it, and then it might take a day or two, depending on how long it takes to get verified that it's a new show, and it's all good, and then you're off. Anytime you upload an episode, it will automatically push to all the platforms that you want.
Wow, that's amazing. So one link to the magic of all. I love
That's it. Yeah, literally.
Which means the link
RSS feed.
RSS feed. Oh wow, great. Oh, RSS feed. Okay, I know that term. Okay, great. Wow, learning a lot. And we've got a question from Fasal. Awesome. How was it for you to transition from your previous career and start from zero into this venture? Oh my gosh, I love this question. Great question, Fasal.
That's a great question. So Faisal, I was working in sales for 3 years. And then in Amsterdam, and then I moved back to Dubai right when Corona hit. So, I was looking for work at the time and so on. And obviously at that time when Corona and lockdown came, no one was hiring at all. If anything, people were starting to get laid off and so on. So I'm like, okay, I've been wanting to start this podcast for a year. What better time to start doing this than now? And here we are, a year later, and I'm still doing it, and it has grown. So it wasn't planned to be that way, but we started, we were consistent, and here we are now.
Amazing. Great stuff. I mean, I already know your story because we chat for hours about that, and it's really, really amazing to know that transition from you and moving back from Amsterdam to your home. It's great. It's amazing. And thank you so much for the great question. And Dan, so happy to see you. Dan and I always talk about I have to go back to California. I look very, very forward to it. And I think Sap have another great questions. I keep it coming, guys. If you have questions, I love it. And for Sap, just want to say excellent. Great.
Awesome.
All cap. I love that. Wait, Sep have a great question. How did you start getting RTT clients? Has your podcast helped? Great question.
Yeah, I think the podcast definitely has helped just grow awareness about who I am and what I'm trying to do. So the fact that I'm, like I spoke earlier, it's all surrounded about this, idea of helping. So not only do I do the podcast, but I also started about 2 months ago, making TikToks like 2-3 a week. And it's all about educational content about mental health, about what is RTT, what is hypnotherapy, what are the misconceptions. So trying to build my credibility and so on in the space. And the more as time goes on and the more content I have and the more it resonates with people, that typically starts to see when more clients start coming in and start being interested in RTT, for example.
Amazing. Wow, Seth, I hope that answered your questions. I do have a follow-up question for you. So, Khaled, you have been promoting, obviously, on LinkedIn, and you have been getting amazing guest speaker through LinkedIn as a channel. You also promoted on Instagram, I know, as well as TikTok you just talk about, and obviously the podcast real sort of like channels, right? Like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all these channels where people will tune in, and your dedicated community
Sure.
every time when you release, right? And so, which is the best channel for you from your experience that you will always suggest people to double down when they're looking into promoting podcast?
I think
I like
it's
the
a tough
silence
question. It's a tough question. For me, I think in terms of promotion, the two best ones for me, I'd say LinkedIn for sure, and Instagram. I think those two are the best. Instagram is more about creating, a nice page, putting all those like snippets and so on, all that kind of stuff. So to build, the podcast and the guests and so on. And I'd say LinkedIn in terms of for your networking and for just, awareness and potential guests and so on, it's hands down the best. So I'd say for me, LinkedIn and Instagram would be where I would double down for sure.
Double down. Great stuff. And Seb just said, fantastic. Thank you. I like that.
Anytime, Seb.
Excellent. And then Seb was like, fantastic. Thank you. And another fellow RTT friends. Amazing. And Dixon, so good to see you, man. We're going to chat tomorrow. So I'm very excited for our interview tomorrow. Dixon is working for a magazine in Ireland. So I'm really excited to have the chat with you, Dixon. And Andrew, I have a really great question for you too. Are there any specific topic that you would like to talk about on future episode of your podcast, or certain types of guests that you would like to have?
Sure. Great question. It's a bit challenging at the moment because I look back on my 60 episodes and I've covered so many topics. So when I try to think about who would I like to have, I think it'd be great to have, there's one guest I have in mind that I would love to have. He's the CEO of a company called Mind Valley. His name is Vishen Lakhani, and through that company and I've been to their seminars and so on. And he, like the meditation I do, he's the voice as well. So I'd love to sit down with him and talk to him how he built everything and so on. But I think I'd love to speak to maybe an actor. I haven't spoken to an actor before. Would love to speak to maybe someone in like the neuroscience space. I think that would be really interesting. And yeah, I'm pretty open to whatever the topic is, as long as we can have a good conversation. Exactly. Then I'm pretty happy.
Amazing. By the way, Andrew is going to help you because he's a huge connector here on LinkedIn. If anybody you need to know is him and Dan. They're like connector and always dropping all the amazing networking bombs here and there. So I'm pretty sure that will be really helpful. And indeed, I think Sap might know somebody from Mind Valley you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
I think he mentioned something to me before. And Fasel just said, Vishen is great. I use his 6-phase meditation too. See, you guys are
there you go.
In the same language. Again, LinkedIn and podcast have the most highly educated people. We always basically mingle and understand each other. Fantastic. Yeah. So Khaled, I don't want to hold you any longer. It has been an amazing chat with you with the coffee break. I hope you do as well with my fantastic audience. Is there anything you want to sort of talk about your amazing podcast? When do you release it? Anybody can follow your channel. How can we find you?
Sure. So the episodes come out every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Dubai time. And you can follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. There's video as well at hope.it.helps with 2 S's. And for anyone that would love to connect, please, just shoot me a message on LinkedIn. Let's connect. Let's talk. There sounds like there's a lot of potential future guests, in this chat. So I'm super excited. And Salina, thank you so much for having me on the show. This has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you to all the audience and the listeners, guys. Awesome questions. I really, really appreciate it. And looking forward to connecting with all of you.
Same here. Oh my gosh. So thank you very much for coming to my show again. And this is your first, so I'm very very happy that to be your first here. And yeah, again, my audience is absolutely fantastic. See them week in and week out. It's just like old friends, right? That
For
chat
sure.
with each other. And globally, right? I have Andrew from the US, Dixon from Ireland, Fasel and Sab from Switzerland, and then Bridget here from Austria. Bridget just say thank you. And Dan from California. Diana from Canada, I believe, and then Drew from India. Oh my gosh. And Nadal, I think Nadal is also based in the Middle East, if I'm not mistaken. And Steven, I think Steven is from Switzerland. And Lana here, definitely need to connect both of you, I think, right after this show. But again, thank you everyone for joining today. And if you guys want to continue this amazing conversation with Khaled, with chemotherapy, RTT, or anything that hope it helps, please go ahead and connect with Khaled. And I look very much forward to have these amazing people to connect with you and start this great conversation going. And thank you very much, everyone, and have a happy
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. Cheers.
Goodbye.